Hello, everyone. My name is Jason Perocho, Product Marketing Manager at Community Cloud here at Salesforce, and I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, Strengthening Customer Relationships with the Customer Community. I'm joined here with John Rolfe, Senior Manager of Advisory Services at 7 Summits, and today we'll be exploring C-Ray's engagement community. But before we get started, I'd like to remind you of a few ways that you can interact with us during today's broadcast. At the top of your screen, you should see a Rate This button. Now, it's very important for us to continue to deliver top quality content, so please rate this webinar and let us know how we're doing. Also at the top, you'll see an Ask a Question button. At any point during today's broadcast, please click that button and ask the question. At the end of the webinar, we will get to as many questions as possible. And as always, I'd like to remind you of any forward-looking statements during today's webinar. Please make your purchasing decisions based on functionality currently available and not functionality that may or may not be available in the future. So today's customers live in a connected world, and customers want to engage with companies across multiple devices in multiple ways. Now, to say that we're living in a connected world is probably an understatement. We probably live in an overly connected world. I've recently downloaded an app on my phone to see how connected am I, which measures how much screen time that my phone is on. Well, in a given day, I'm almost embarrassed to admit that my screen was on for 4.5 hours a day. Now, what was I doing during that 4.5 hours? I was instant messaging with friends. I was surfing the web. I was trying to answer that one bar question that I couldn't remember from the last night by Googling the answers. I was searching for my favorite products. I was getting updates on my favorite brands. And this last point is really important because when I'm doing that, I'm getting that updated information. Engaged customers are more profitable. The customer experience that I have with my favorite products and brands truly does heavily influence my purchasing decisions. In fact, research has showed that 90% of engaged customers online purchase more frequently. Now, in order to get them to purchase more frequently, you must deliver an exceptional customer experience. And we talk a lot about customer engagement and customer experience today. In fact, I feel like those two terms are thrown around ad hoc, and it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But in our research, we have shown that customer engagement means that you must be able to deliver an immersive experience. You must be able to connect your customers to your products and brands in a branded environment that is personalized to that user. And going along that personalization theme, not only does it have to be personalized and welcoming the user into your environment, you have to be able to deliver content that is relative to the journey that they're on with your product or brand. Additionally, with the rise of social networks, people want to be more collaborative today. They want a collaborative environment that's engaging, which means the ability to personalize the environment with their own images, with their own thoughts, with video, with different forms of content. And finally, inside this customer engagement realm that we keep talking about, customers want centralized touch points. So they want service, they want sales, they want their marketing materials all located in one easy-to-use dynamic environment. Now, I'm excited to turn it over to John Rolfe today, who again is the Senior Manager for Advisory Services and was instrumental in launching the C-Ray community, who will talk a little bit more about this topic of customer engagement and what they did to help C-Ray be successful. So John, welcome to today's webinar.
Thanks, Jason. I appreciate the introduction. As Jason said, my name is Jonathan Rolfe. I'm with 7 Summits, and we partnered with C-Ray to develop their first boat owners experience. And what we're actually going to start with is a video that kind of encapsulates and walks through the community that was developed at a high level.
C-Ray is one of the most prestigious brands in recreational boating. Despite their notable success, however, fierce competition inside the dealer's showroom continues to demand more. C-Ray engaged 7 Summits to establish a more direct relationship with their owners by introducing the new C-Ray Owners Club. Membership is exclusive to C-Ray owners. They can personalize their experience with their boat image, boat name, and preferred dealer. profiles give the owner an opportunity to identify themselves within the community. Once they've told Sea Ray a bit about themselves and their watercraft, the My Boat page serves tailored resources such as technical information, FAQs, spec sheets, and conversations from others in the community. Owners can drop in on groups to discover more conversations around topics specific to their interests. They can join the discussion by asking questions, swapping stories, and even posting their own photos. Not only can owners connect with like-minded enthusiasts, they can also keep in touch with all the latest news from Sea Ray. Events take community interaction to the next level. After connecting with members online, owners can easily search for live events in their area and register right from the community. Sea Ray dealers also have the opportunity to create and promote their own events. An unmatched experience in the marine industry, the new Sea Ray Owners Club engages customers and dealers alike to promote communication, loyalty, and brand advocacy. Learn how you can improve your customer relationships with the Core Connect platform, built by 7 Summits, powered by Salesforce Communities.
Great. I hope everyone enjoyed that video. Next, we're going to talk about what are some of the challenges that were faced with Sea Ray and what were the objectives that they were looking to achieve through the development of this community. And then we'll dive into some of the use cases and some of the features that you just saw on the video. And then we'll wrap up with some key lessons learned, what were the benefits that we're looking to achieve, and some of the key considerations for implementation. Before we get started, let's touch on who Sea Ray is. So Sea Ray designs, manufactures, and markets boats that range from 19 to 65 feet long, including pleasure boats, sport cruisers, sport yachts, and yachts, which is the one shown there on the image. And these range from anywhere between $30,000 to over $3 million for the L class that is shown there. However, their most common boat that they're known for is the Sun Dancer. They were founded in 1959 by C.N. Ray, and they're now part of the Brunswick Boat Group. They're based out of Knoxville, Tennessee, with facilities both in Knoxville and in Florida. So client loyalty is really a key driver for Sea Ray, and they have a very high annual spend on customer loyalty programs. However, they were not getting the expected return on their investment through these programs. So along with the recession impacting their core product line and moving towards a global distribution model, they had to engage their existing and potential owners in a different model. Sea Ray saw the opportunity to develop a customer-driven community that is focused specifically on the owner's experience and wanted to extend that Sea Ray lifestyle through this customer community. The goal of the overall ownership program is to provide a brand experience that is unmatched in the marine industry that engages Sea Ray dealers, energizes their customer base, and provides a platform for like-minded boating enthusiasts to share their Sea Ray experiences and lifestyle. Sea Ray planned a multi-phased initiative to launch the Sea Ray Owners Club, an exclusive invite-only, customer-facing online community built on the Salesforce platform. Phase 1 of the effort focused on defining the key use cases, developing the overall user experience, technical solution architecture, and overall design. Phase 2 of the effort delivered on that vision through the detailed visual design, configuration, development, build, and the initial deployment of the community, which was completed in November 2015 and officially launched at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. The Owners Club was an existing program, and the online community set out to enhance the relationship between Sea Ray and their owners. The key objective within the community was to provide online experience that enhances the overall boat ownership and ultimately drives additional leads, purchases, and supports these 3 primary elements. Number 1, celebrate the boat ownership, including access to events, benefits, and published materials. Connecting is about creating and strengthening relationships between the dealers and others at Sea Ray and boat owners through their brand ambassadors. The third one is to empower owners to provide tools and communication channels that help them get the most out of their ownership and easily get the information that boat owners need. The overall architecture for the community is really in three parts. So they had an existing Salesforce Service Cloud that they were using internally, and then they wanted to extend that through to their customers through this custom branding. They also used accelerators developed by 7 Summits specifically for news, member benefits, events, enhanced directory, and shatter groups. So these were taken and used as an accelerator to kind of condense the overall timeline to delivery and help them realize value quicker. And then obviously all of this was built on top of the Salesforce Community Cloud, leveraging a lot of those out-of-the-box constructs, including chatter answers and knowledge base. Here's a few screenshots of what you saw in the video, and the key thing to call out here is that the site is mobile responsive. So that was paramount, one of the driving principles when we sat down to architect the overall site. So it needed to work on a traditional desktop laptop environment, but also on mobile. And we'll touch on, highlight some of those key use cases where mobile will really come into play. So overall, here's the high-level use cases that were enabled throughout this community. The My Boat extends the user profile to include boat owner content, preferences, and access to Sea Ray's collection of manuals and reference materials. Through the knowledge base, owners could crowdsource information with other community members and find Sea Ray published materials going all the way back to the 1970s. Ideas fostered the sharing of ideas to enhance the overall ownership program. Boat owners were also able to connect with dealers, local groups and clubs, ambassadors, and other boat owners. The member benefits and brand communication offered information about offers and discounts and published information from Sea Ray marketing. And finally, events aligned with Sea Ray's program to fund local events, allowing dealers and ambassadors to facilitate upcoming events, including the ability to register and confirm attendance. So now we'll do a deeper dive into the community. Here we're showing the homepage. This was highly customized and a visual compelling experience. And this presents a personal view with selected content from the marketing team and also personalized for the individual user. So we knew when developing this that the first impression was key. We needed to surprise and delight these owners. And so when we developed the overall experience, we knew that the brand had to come through and that we also needed to design it for that first visit and for the 50th visit, meaning that when a user first comes to the site, it needs to be very clear in terms of how are they supposed to interact, what value are they going to get out of it, and how can they be the best community member. And then also on the 50th visit, after they've kind of gotten used to the community and to the features and functions, what's going to keep them coming back to the community? And we'll touch on some of those key elements. Starting from the top, you can see just the standard navigation. These are the different elements within the community. The next piece down, the orange kind of banner there, these are links. So these were areas that we wanted to promote to them, specifically call out and kind of reinforce the value of these areas. And these were actually established by the community manager across all users. And then as you can see there towards the right, individual users can actually add their own links. So this is one way in which they can personalize the experience. Below that, this was what was created for an onboarding experience. So this is more tailored towards that first and second visit of how can they become a great community member and get the most value out of this site. So there were a few start here and ways to explore the community, and then also some calls to action for specific things that they can do on those page to kind of help them learn about the functionality of the community if they were unsure kind of how to collaborate, where to post, or where to look for ideas. One of the things we'll touch on is also the preferred dealer. So this is some customization and data that was in Service Cloud that we are showing on the community. On the next screen, we'll look at how that's actually entered and the value behind it. So this is the editing your dashboard from the homepage, and this actually touches on the My Boat profile. So there's 3 elements here that we want to talk about. So the first one in terms of the personalization is they can select one of 3 to feature as kind of the hero image on the homepage, or they can actually upload their own photo. What this allowed is for boaters to add their own to their community. So it really personalizes the experience. So they don't necessarily have to use the images that Sea Ray provides, but they can add their own from their boat or from when they've been enjoying themselves on the water. The second option there is to enter your boat name. So if you're a boater, you know your boat name is very important to you. And again, this just extends that personalized relationship to the community. And this is just reinforced and shown throughout the community, and actually can also be used as a username. The third piece down there is select your authorized dealer. So this was a key piece of information that Sea Ray had captured initially during the purchase transaction, but it became outdated and it was not frequently updated. So what this allowed is for a owner to come in and set their authorized dealer. Now, it's not as necessarily as simple as kind of basing it off of their known zip or their billing zip, because where they live may not be where they boat. So this is one area where we were able to facilitate the capturing of this information where Sea Ray wasn't able to get this before. And we knew ease of use was going to be key for this, so we needed to make it extremely easy. So we're actually using a geo location here that was developed specifically for the authorized dealer, and then we actually extended it to events also. So what this allows is we already probably know some information about them. So we're starting with their known zip code, and we're actually showing them authorized dealers based off of their known zip code. And then they can select one. Or they can enter another zip code, and that will show authorized dealers within a certain radius of that zip code. Moving on to My Boat. So this is the specific page, and this will be specific for each individual owners. As we can see the boat name and also the year, make, and model. Below that is actually the HIN number, and the HIN is like a VIN number. It's a hull identification number unique to each boat. And this is actually what the user would register with. So this is a private exclusive community. You must be an active Sea Ray boat owner in order to participate in the community. And you actually use your HIN, your hull ID, to register within the community. And based off of that, we can map that back to information that Sea Ray has in their current Salesforce environment. So by knowing their HIN, we know their year, make, model. And from that, we can populate existing information from them, which we know in terms of their purchase date, the original purchase date of the boat, the individual owner's purchase date of the boat because they might not have bought it new, and then also the engine information. And so this is key because they need the serial numbers for maintenance reasons. So we're providing this information automatically so they don't need to go searching around for it or look in their documentation. To the right, you can actually see resources for this boat. So there's a handful of manuals and publications and resources that are associated with the boat. And so what we're doing here is automatically pulling that in, and this information exists in Salesforce Knowledge, and surfacing it to that specific owner. So because we know their year, make, model, we know what resources are going to be common for them. The key feature here is this is all mobile responsive. So, for example, if I actually need to look at my owner's manual or some key pieces of resource information, I'm not going to be doing it actually sitting at my desk. I'm going to be doing it while I'm on my boat, while I have my phone. So an owner can pull out their phone, log in without even searching for any manuals. If it exists, it will be displayed here on their My Boat page. So this was key for the users, and this is one of those kind of delight features that we knew would keep driving users back here. As soon as they knew this information was available, this would be the first place that they would look for this information. The tech resources page just kind of takes that and categorizes and supplies all of the technical resources. So everything from manuals to prop charts to any other resources that they would need going back, I believe, to the 1970s. And there's different ways to interact with this information. So I can search for FAQs, I can find the Sea Ray resources, or I can even get answers by owners. And so I can look for kind of the official curated Sea Ray content, or I can engage with other owners if I have a question. So I can look at a spec sheet and then reach out to other owners to see if they've experienced a similar problem that I'm trying to solve on my boat, and post my question out there and then get an immediate response from owners or even from Sea Ray themselves. So this was key in terms of mixing the different type of information, whether it was user-generated information from other owners or official information published by C-Ray. Moving on to member benefits, this is where we're featuring benefits that are exclusive to the owners. So this could be everything from discounts to added value offers. And there's a blend here of also benefits and existing publications. So they had an existing publication called C-Ray Living that they had on a publicly accessible site, but they still wanted to bring forward some of that information because it is compelling stories. And then for certain areas, they might actually highlight some owner stories. So again, it's that mix of kind of here's some program benefits, but here's also how others are kind of living the C-Ray lifestyle. And the benefits here were offered before, but they didn't have a great channel in order to communicate these. So they were available on another website, but it wasn't frequently trafficked. And then they also sent this out every once in a while, but it was in a physical print format. So now actually through the site, they're offering these and seeing these as an additional revenue generating tool because owners are spending a lot more time within the community and they're becoming aware of either these discounts that are being offered or value-added services. In the future, they're looking at showing the different benefits based on what boat type you own, or are you a new or used owner. So this gets to that next level of personalization. We know some information about you. Let's actually tailor our messaging to you because offers for a L-class yacht might be a little bit different than a $50,000 sport boat. So getting to that next level of detail of being able to specifically target based off of the information that we know about you. The events piece, this is a centralized place to find information about events. So this brings together dealers, C-Ray, and local event organizers. And all of this information was previously in different locations. So local organizations or local groups could have had their own communities or their own external ways of publishing events. So now it's coming together in a centralized location, and it is all permission-based in terms of who can create events. So C-Ray does have the capability to extend it out to certain brand ambassadors or to certain dealers. And this is also has geo-based functionality. So in the filter options, not only can I filter by categories, but I can also look for events that are close to me and select a radius. And C-Ray also has the ability to feature events. So if there's national events that they want to promote, they can do that within the events page, and then these are also the same ones that pop up on the home page. So I can search and sort and find events that are specific to me. I can look at the detail page, and then we're also extending the power of communities and kind of that collaboration to these specific events. So because we have chatter enabled on these events, I can talk with people who are interested in going even before the event or follow up after the event. There's also an integrated RSVP functionality. So I can select yes, I'm going, no, I'm not, or I'm interested. And I can also see the other members that are going too. So since this is a closed community, I might be interested in see who else is going and then reach out to them. And then also on the back end, there's an administrative function where whoever the event coordinator is can actually get a list of those people that are attending and use that as almost a management function for the event. The collaboration piece is obviously very key to the relationship and the experience. So this allows owners to connect with each other, with local groups, or other interested parties. So this is where they can start and have conversations, and they're kind of grouped on region, boat type, or interest. And this is where they've really seen a lot of value in terms of extending and also creating new relationships. So both from where they've met up at physical events, and then they continue the conversation in this virtual arena, or they've had conversations here within these different groups, and then they actually meet up for the first time at events. So this is really helping develop and extend the overall relationships within the boating community and specific to C-Ray. We're seeing some really good conversations either at the regional level in terms of people that might have similar questions in terms of boat ramps or marina policies, all the way through different interest groups. So if I'm interested more in kind of water sport activities, I can have conversations with people that I may not know because we don't boat in the same area, but we share a similar passion or have similar questions and can engage with each other. So overall, the expected and delivered results, we map back to the 3 objectives that we were talking about. So celebrating the lifestyle, connecting, and empowering. So celebrating the lifestyle, we definitely saw not only maintaining relationships, but also extending relationships with brand ambassadors. So there were brand ambassadors identified before. And the community is a great way to continue to drive their relationship with the brand ambassadors, and then also identify new brand ambassadors. Connecting, they were able to continue their event awareness and then also increase participation. So this was helpful, especially for the dealer-sponsored events. So dealers not only started seeing an increase in their event participation, but also had better data about these users now too in terms of where are they actually boating, and they were able to use this as a lead gen tool. For empowering, the dealers, again, they're able to get better customer insights and information of who has actually selected them as a preferred dealer. Sears also started to get insights not only about the community, but also about the product themselves. So looking forward, they're interested in bringing in the product owners and the engineering team in the community so they can start pulling out some of these key insights and looking at what are our owners talking about? How are they actually using our boats? How are they? What's their lifestyle? What do they want next? Sea Ray very much prides itself on being an innovative manufacturer, and this is just another avenue in which they can elicit this information from their owners. So overall, what were some of the lessons learned throughout the community? Number one was having a shared vision with your partner. So making sure that you're on the same page and that it's a clear, articulated vision. We also knew the need for it to have a realistic plan and to have it somewhat formalized but also flexible, so the expectations are realistic. So there are times where you need to have those hard conversations and prioritize the features based on business value, because with a lot of these customizations and kind of designing this unique experience, there's a lot of different directions you can go, but time to market is very important, and being able to deploy the community in an agile fashion was key. And then also having fun was a big takeaway and a big lesson learned. As you can see here on the right, we actually started with some team building activities since it was a new relationship in order to kind of build that trust outside of a project-based environment. So what were some of the things we learned with throughout the implementation? One, Sea Ray was able to extend their use of Salesforce from Service Cloud to Community Cloud. So on Service Cloud, that's where they were using it more of as a CRM and service tool, but it wasn't customer facing. So they were using communities as their first exposure to the customers on the Salesforce platform, and that's why the customized experience and visual design was key for this. Also, some of the unusual challenges that we faced were around content, one that really stuck out. So it was more than just kind of the data categories or the data models from a technical backend, but it was also they had 30 years of manuals and content that they needed to get into the system and to categorize. So there was a lot of value in even being able to look up an owner's manual for a 1982 boat. Even though it may not be that popular, there may not be that many out there. There's still a lot of value. So we spent a good amount of time in terms of categorizing that information and making sure that it aligned and it was easily found by different owners. some of the technical aspects that we uncovered, they were using geolocation internally before, but this was the first time they were actually extending it to the customers. So this is one of the features that we definitely prioritized that needed some development and customization. And again, the value here was for selecting a preferred dealer and then also finding events. So there was this customization that really gave that specific owner the ability to find information that was relevant and personalized to them. And this also helped with their customer base too. So those were just some of the high-level key learnings for the project. And with that, I will turn it back over to Jason.
Thanks, John. We really appreciate the time and the insights that you had implementing the C-Ray community. Well, now we're nearing the end of our presentation, and we'd like to open it up with some questions. And I see that we already have our first question and this will go out to John. So, John, when you were going through those planning stages, how did you plan exactly what C-Ray members will actually do inside the community?
Yeah, one of the things we did is we looked at the customer journey. So where are they? Do we need to treat a new owner versus someone who's buying a used boat differently throughout this experience? And we spent a lot of time focusing on what's that first login going to be like, and how are they going to get into the system? And so there were some challenges we ran into with the registration since it had to match up, and they didn't have reliable information if boats were second or third hand. So focusing, number one, on that initial experience and how do we get them in, we wanted to remove as many barriers as possible for them to get into the community so they could kind of experience it the first time. And then after they were in, it's making sure that they understood what are they supposed to do and why are they going to keep coming back. So we focused on making sure that there was enough content available, whether it was from a product side or from a marketing, events, and news and brand communication side, that when they went there, they saw the value and that they understood how frequently it was going to be updated. So the next time they came back, if they weren't looking for manuals and kind of wanted to engage in conversation or collaborate with other owners, that those conversations would be there and they would have that ability.
Mm-hmm. And so we have another question along those same lines. So when you're talking about value and value from C-Ray's customers, how did you ensure that they would actually get value from the community every time they returned?
Yeah, so that's a great question. In terms of we mapped out the different kind of use cases and what are some of the reasons that they would come back and what's the frequency for that reason. So are they primarily going to be coming to access the curated content, the owner's manuals and charts and different things related specifically to their boat, or are they coming back to have those conversations? So we looked at that and then just made sure that there was functionality that supported those use cases. So specifically for the conversations is looking at where were there very strong owners groups right now that were already existing. So reaching out to those owners groups and identifying either an ambassador or someone who was very active in driving it and making sure that they were aware of this new tool and how to use it. So we did have kind of different touch points with different users and almost gave them a pre-read to the community so they could kind of market it at a different level than C-Ray did.
All right, thanks, John. Another question, did you consider implementing any gamification techniques? Why or why not?
Yeah, so great question. Yes, we did talk about gamification, and that was pushed to a future release. So we could think about it a little bit more and more importantly kind of see what are the interactions right now. So on the platform there's reputation management, which relates to who am I following, who's following me, how many questions have I answered. But one thing we started talking about with the gamification is making sure that it was driving the results that we wanted and kind of aligned to our overall objectives. So yes, it was considered, but it wasn't one of the key features for the initial release.
Awesome. I know you hit on this a little bit, but from beginning to end, what was the time frame to launch the community for boat owners from concept to go live? And what unique approach was used to promote the new community to past, present, and future owners?
Mm-hmm. Yep, so good question. So the time frame, and this was a somewhat aggressive time frame given all of the customizations and everything that needed to happen from an architecture standpoint. But it was about 5 months from when we got engaged at the conception and really when that team building activity took place to when we launched early November at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. So that was one of the, if not the largest boat shows. So our deadline for the project was not movable. We knew we had to have this available at the launch. So during the boat show, there was a kiosk. We were playing that video, and then they were just kind of promoting at their tent. And then kind of at Sea Ray's area and talking with users. So in addition to that, they also reached out to all of the ambassadors, and some of them kind of got that pre-look before we actually before the community launched. And then this is also now going into a lot of the print material. So owners are being made aware of this post-transaction of, hey, here's an additional resource, and the dealer will almost kind of walk them through what that is so they know how to register kind of what the value is. And then also at other events, other boat shows, they're just continually to reinforce this for the new users. And then there was an associated marketing plan to push this out. So it wasn't a big bang, we're going to send this out to all 10,000 known owners, but they kind of segmented them and are rolling out the communication, both digital and print, to those others if they're not hitting them through one of the discussed channels.
Thanks. Amir. One final question. Now, community managers play a critical role in the success of a community. How did Seven Summits and Sea Ray empower the community manager to make their communities successful?
Yep, so great question. So kind of 2 parts. One is from we focused actually pretty upfront actually on the development piece. So the community management is definitely key towards the operational side of it, and we wanted to make it as easy as we could to kind of maintain this community going forward. So we actually looked at and developed some key features to make it easier for these community managers. So for example, in kind of extending the content management capabilities of the Salesforce platform for creating the news and creating the events. So they actually had a user interface from the community where they could create those different content types and even update them, so they didn't have to go into core Salesforce in order to do that, so they can stay close to the community. On the back end, it was looking at it from a kind of activation and adoption standpoint. So what are the different things that are needed, both internally to be successful at Sea Ray, and then also interacting with the users. So everything from training, if there's training needed, to governance policies internally and externally. So if users are having conversations and there's inappropriate content, or they're saying things that they shouldn't in the community, kind of having a workflow and some steps to handle those users even before it happens, so they can be responsive to those needs.
Well, thank you very much, John. And I see we're ending our webinar here now. But before we do go, I'd like to remind you that you can check out the Sea Ray customer story that's attached to this webinar, as well as download the Customer Community 101 ebook. And finally, if you have any further questions, please reach out and contact your local sales representatives. And as always, I'd like to thank you, our valued customer, John, for joining today, and everybody for participating in this webinar. Thank you. Have a great day.